Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. Let's take tech in the right direction to drive social change and close the employment, pay, and culture gap for women in technology. This podcast is focused on helping turn ideas into action and create opportunities for women to advance in the dynamic technology industry. I hope this podcast will inspire and motivate you to encourage more women and girls to seek or grow a career as a woman in technology. Stories about the journey of amazing women in the tech field starts right now.
This week in our Women in Technology segment, I will be talking with Sarah Haggard. Sarah is a proven business leader who has led multiple startup initiatives within her decade-long career in product marketing at Microsoft, raising $40 million to scale her last business. Expert in P&L management, enterprise software, and go-to-market strategy, Sarah's tenacity and drive for results led to her being widely recognized as a turnaround expert and new business incubator. Sarah's leadership style is engaging and authentic. Her superpower is her ability to spot patterns, create high-performing teams, and activate the right people at the right time to deliver results. Sarah holds a master's degree in business administration from Seattle University and a bachelor's of arts in anthropology and business administration from Augustana College in Rock Island, Illinois. Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So excited to have you. Can you share with us a little bit about your career path in technology?
Yes, I would love to. So I actually ended up in technology a little bit by accident. I actually began my career as a social scientist, studied anthropology, thought I would go change the world kind of one person at a time. And then, realized in that pursuit that it would be wise to go into the business world to, really be able to affect change at just a higher level, going out and gaining kind of that money, influence, and power that I think we need to be able to affect societal change at a macro level. And so I ended up early on, shifting my focus into business and joined Microsoft at 24 and spent over a decade there at Microsoft and working in various product marketing roles, and really found, again, kind of by accident, that I really have this love for technology and how it solves, big societal problems that we have today.
That's great. That's interesting how you've influenced business through technology, because now business technology is not driving business, business is driving technology. So learning the business outcomes at Microsoft has really helped you grow your career path, which is really, really interesting. So did you always know that working with technology, I know you said it was an accident, but when did you really connect and say, wow, I love technology. This is what I want to do. What was that spark? What was that moment?
I think you hit the nail on the head, which is that the business today is really driving the technology agenda, not the other way around. And, I remember famously telling my parents, who were both technologists, at an early age, that I was never going to work with computers. I was going to work with people, and it was, I don't even know what brought that on, except for I thought, as kids do, we have to follow our parents' footsteps, and I was adamant that I wasn't going to do that because it just, computers felt, inhuman in some way, and I didn't want any part of that. And, fast forward, technology is a people business today, and it is a business-driven business. And so, I just loved that I could dig into a meaty problem I wanted to solve, and I could reverse engineer the technology that we needed to prioritize to solve that problem. And I got to do that several times over my career at Microsoft and realized I'm kind of good at this. So maybe this is for me after all.
That's great. I know you are ready to launch an amazing app this month. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so about 18 months ago, January of 2018, I had this spark that, for me as a woman in technology, after spending a decade at Microsoft and having many different assigned mentors to me throughout that period. Mentorship to me always felt so necessary and needed, but so uncomfortable and awkward at the same time. And I was really just sort of, there was a time in my career where I was really struggling and looking for a female mentor, and I just didn't know even where to look or where to begin. Mm-hmm. And so, about 18 months ago, I said, this is strange. We've got the technology today to be able to make mentorship more accessible and efficient and effective. But where is it? And so I ended up creating an app called Tribute. And so we're a modern mentorship application, mobile-first app that helps employees connect on shared life experiences. So we help people kind of get out of this paradigm of mentorship always has to start with our professional goals or our resumes, and says, nope, we can take a more human-centric approach to mentorship, helping people connect in a more authentic, easy way. But we can pair that with technology that makes it more accessible for all. And so that was about 18 months ago. I just left Microsoft full-time a couple months ago, and now I'm leading Tribute full-time.
That's amazing. So can you share with me a little bit about what those shared experiences are? So how do people connect? Because I think this is such an important part of what you're doing to kind of bring that human side into technology. So tell me a little bit about how relationships are formed outside of technology, and then how does it relate, and how are you connecting the dots?
Yeah, so one of my observations early on in my life, and I think what drove me to even the pursuit of an anthropology degree and a curiosity into social sciences, has always been watching how and why humans connect. Right? Why do we connect, and where do we disconnect? And I found through my own life experience and connections that I've made in that time is that we tend to sort of gravitate towards what we know, which can be good and bad. But we also, when we're connecting with other people, and you'll notice this now in your own interactions, the next time you send an intro email to somebody, you'll connect dots naturally. You'll say, oh, you went to this college, or hey, you both grew up in the Midwest, or hey, you both started your career in retail, but then made the leap to technology, right? Like you find these little connections that we have. Or shared life experiences, as we call them in Tribute. And that's how humans tend to connect. And so for me, it was quite obvious that what we were missing in mentorship was this initial connection moment before we get to the task of mentorship. And so some of the examples of shared life experiences within Tribute that you can seek mentorship around are things like, I feel like I'm the only woman in the room, or I'm a stay-at-home mom and I'm coming back to work for the first time, or I'm learning how to navigate difficult conversations. I'm having trouble with a difficult boss or coworker, right? These are real lived experiences that people are going through, that are seeking mentorship around. And then somehow we go from there to putting our resumes in front of each other, and now you're my mentor. And it's like, well, wait a minute, shouldn't we back up and actually acknowledge what it is that you're seeking mentorship on, and find somebody who's kind of lived that experience, gone through it, and has the wisdom to share back with you how they were able to navigate that. And so that's where we start with Tribute.
That's amazing. And I think back to anytime we struggle with something, we think we're alone, right? So building this community, sharing those stories, sharing that experience, and knowing there are other people who are feeling that way, makes you just connect with them and say, okay, what do I do? What did you do? How did you get there? So that's just amazing. As a woman in the technology field, what are some of the challenges that you've faced? You've been at Microsoft for 10 years, and now you're starting a technology solution to help people on mentorship. What are some of the challenges that you've experienced as a woman moving down these paths?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just pause because it's like, where do I go with this?
Yes, we all have shared experiences on that.
I think, and I thought about this, in preparation for this conversation. And honestly, what I come back to is a couple of things. I think, in my lifetime, I've seen technology go from uber complex and very elusive and exclusive to something that's very accessible today. And I think by nature of that, more women are being included in an opportunity to influence and impact technology. But I do think, some of the challenges that I faced externally is that I think that there's still this belief, when a woman walks in the room versus when a man walks in, that a man is just sort of anointed as a technologist, whereas women have to prove ourselves a little bit more. Yeah. I think that there's that feeling, I think internally, maybe partly due to that external factor, women struggle a little bit more with imposter syndrome. And mm-hmm. that's something that we, dealing with our inner critic, and really squashing that is something that has been a challenge for me, because I didn't go and study computer science. So how dare I say I'm a technologist? Well, mm-hmm. Kind of going back to our earlier point, with technology becoming a people business and with the business driving the technology agenda more and more, I don't have to have a computer science degree to be a technologist, to be somebody who's driving the technology agenda. And I think for me, that revelation has really helped me overcome the challenge of my own mind saying, I don't deserve to be here.
Yeah, I think the confidence, building our own confidence, sometimes is more than half the battle, right? If we come in being confident and saying, yes, we can do that, and then prove that we have the skills to do it, is so critical to our success. So I think you hit the nail on the head where, some of the challenges are internal. Your internal critic is telling you, no, you're not qualified, or you don't have that degree. But really, we have so many business skills, collaboration skills, empathy, all of those things that are so critical to success of any business project that we have a lot to offer.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for the rest of today's interview after a brief word from our sponsor. Are you an expert in your field? Are you a woman who values thought leadership? We'd love to have you join us as a guest on an upcoming episode of Tech in the Right Direction. Visit us at directionstraining.com/podcast to apply today.
So Sarah, do you feel that women have the same opportunities as men today in the tech world?
I think it's getting a lot better. In my lifetime, as I've seen, and just even the focus and encouragement of more women in STEM careers. But I would say that the true measure of equality for women in the workplace, in the technology industry or any industry, really comes down to, are we able to work in a way that's compatible with the way we work, right? The way women fundamentally operate. And the seasons of our life, right? Whether that's having children, whether that's going through menopause, which, is something we've never talked about in the workplace, but is so important, for women because, I think we have the same opportunities in terms of, can we get the job? Can we do the work? Can we be recognized, rewarded for it? I mean, there's places where you could say there's absolute equity there. But overall, at the macro level, I don't think women are going to have the same opportunities as men until, culturally, we're allowed to, bring our authentic full selves to work, and we're able to go on maternity leave and have our jobs be there when we get back, but to be able to have the support that a woman needs to complement her work, that truth be told, men have never needed before. And so, the world is just sort of keeping on, and not really acknowledging that women at different seasons and periods of her life are going to need different levels of support in the workplace. And I think until we really create that workplace, women won't have that same equity and equality as men.
I completely agree. I think, women have different life cycles, different responsibilities, and until those responsibilities are equaled, we're always going to have the challenge, because somehow we are always responsible for the children. It's not a equal, the dad and the mom have the same kind of responsibilities. It's automatically assumed the woman's going to take the child to the doctor, or, the woman can't travel because she has kids. But, in a man's world, we don't think that way. They just get up and go if they need to travel, or they don't think they need to take the child to the doctor. So I think if we start to level set the expectations of who does what and equally divide that, we still, have a long way to go, I think, with that.
I 100% agree. And I think on that, even, I'm seeing articles now where, men are getting greater paternity leave, and, we're seeing changing rooms in men's bathrooms. I mean, it's both, right? We need to create, there's dads out there that want to take parental leave and go spend time with their kids and take them to the doctor. And so I think, I think the answer to that question is just such a cultural transformation that we need to go on, that not only levels the roles that women and men play, at home and in work, but that creates companies that allow that flexibility for women and men to find that balance, and also, kind of separate but related, but women work just so fundamentally different than men. And we talk about the female and the male archetype and how our thought patterns and processes work. And today I still see a very male dominant way of thinking in the workplace, beyond just, the sort of male oriented roles that we play. And that also needs to, and I see it changing, but that needs to, we need to embrace more of a female archetype of way of being that's more collaborative, that's more transparent, that, is more curious and asks questions. And, that those types of cultural, or I would say cultural changes, but being accepted for that way of working, I think when we're able to do that, then women are going to have the same opportunities as men in the tech industry and well beyond.
I completely agree. I just want to kind of share one thought with you that, I think it has to go back to when we're raising our children as well, to raise them in that equal form. Because if a boy is crying, you'll say, oh, man up, you don't need to cry, it's fine, he'll be okay. If a girl is crying, you nurture her, you hug her, you're like, it's not, you're trying to soothe and nurture the girl. And so we raise our kids very differently. And so the expectations are different as we grow. And so I really think that, showing that same responsibility for boys and girls as they're growing up and raising them that way is going to help us have more equal opportunities as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I 100% agree. And I think and I love that you brought up that example of a boy crying, because I think many men feel that they too can't bring their full authentic selves to work too, right? Like if I want to slow down the conversation and ask more questions, I'm perceived as weak. If I want to display empathy towards another employee, I'm weak, and I think you're absolutely right that until we recognize that equality for women and men in the workplace means an equal balance and respect for the masculine and the feminine energy and archetype, and what that means, regardless of your gender. Until we get there, from parenting to, in the workplace and beyond, I think we're not going to see an equitable world. And so, I just bring that up because so many people think, to solve this, we just need more women in tech. And I think that's part of the solution, but it's not really, to me, addressing the more fundamental root cause of that inequality.
Absolutely. So very true. I love this saying. I always say that, women, when they are expressing kindness, never to take that as weakness, because kindness is not weakness. Kindness is that empathy, collaboration, working with everybody, it is not weakness. And so you mentioned that, and I thought, that's my quote, and it's always in my head. Please don't mistake kindness for weakness.
Absolutely. It's a quiet strength.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then on the other side, what advantages do you think we have as women in the technology field today?
Yeah, I think, women just, I was listening to Coco speak at the Women in Technology Network conference this year, earlier this year in Kansas City. And I think she said it best. She said, we're in this environment today where the female archetype is really what's needed to take business to the next level, right? So it's traits, and I use female archetype because I think, I believe that both men and women exhibit masculine and feminine traits, right? I think we do. But I do believe that up until this point, the more masculine traits have been rewarded in business, right? And, and now we're in this time of transition where some of those female traits like collaboration, curiosity, transparency, empathy, that's what we need at this time. And so I think for women, the fact that we naturally exhibit more of that archetype, and that means that we're going to have more opportunities to step into positions of leadership and power, because that's what the world needs right now. And it's just a fascinating time, and I'm really excited to be kind of at the forefront of that, because I think it's absolutely our time and our turn to lead.
That's great. Those soft skills are so critical. And we come innately with them, that we can really demonstrate that we are qualified, we have the skills, and then some for any of the technology projects that are out there. So what advice would you give to a woman who's considering a career in technology, either one that does not have a background in technology or the ones that are in a male-dominated industry? What can they do to further themselves in their career?
Yeah, I would say go for it with gusto. You deserve to be there. You have a unique voice. You have a unique opinion. And really what I would say is find a mentor as soon as you can, right? And it can be a female mentor, it can be a male mentor, but find a mentor who is going to continue to nurture that confidence in you, that you do deserve to be in the room and that you do have a unique point of view. The second thing I'll say is that it took me the better half of my 20s to understand what that unique point of view was. And so, developing that and understanding what it is, the problem that you want to solve, what it is that you're truly passionate and what drives you, is also something that, when you have that knowledge together with a mentor and a purpose, you're just unstoppable. So that's what I would say to women looking to get in technology today.
Tell us how, when you found out what that passion was, what was that spark? How did you find it? Because I'm sure there's people out there saying, I don't know what my passion is. I have no idea what I'm good at. What can they do to, dig up that passion and understand it better?
That's a great question as well. I didn't know that for most of my life, although now that I do know that my passion is really around how to create a more, equitable, just world. I do that through mentorship. I do that by connecting humans together, because I think that makes us all feel more like we belong. And I say that it took me most of my life to figure that out, but when I look back, the trail markers were there, right? Of the things that I chose to, pursue and do. For me, I think my best advice to someone who may be searching for what that passion or purpose is to ask yourself one really simple question, and that's, would you do it for free? If nobody in the world paid you, and let's say you didn't need to make another dollar ever, again, because I think scarcity and ideas of, oh my gosh, I need to make money and take care of myself get in the way a lot of, what our true hearts are telling us. So ask yourself, would you do it for free? And really just be curious about what are the things that get you amped up and get you excited. And ultimately, you also need to spend time with that question. That's really it. I think I avoided that question for so long because I just thought, well, that's something for a later day or a later time. When I buy my house, when I have my kids, when I get married, when I have my 401k, I just kept putting all these milestones, that we think we have to do in a life before really sitting down with that question. And when I did that sincerely, I found the answer was there all along. So
that's so true. Yeah. And I think that's a great question. Would you be able to do, would you still love it if you did it for free? And I know in my business, I'm very passionate about what I do. And, the bottom line and the money comes by your passion, not the other way around. You don't get passion from, making money. Obviously, you need the business to succeed and make money and be profitable and all of those things, but that automatically comes when you're passionate and excited and motivated about all the right things. Like, we are so obsessed about our customers and want to always do the right thing for the customer, everything else works out. So it's so true. That's great advice. So what 3 words would your friends use to describe you?
I think my friends would describe me as smart, driven, certainly, and generous. I kind of live my life in a pay-it-forward model and have found that to be really the greatest gift to myself, even, to live that way. And it's just a great way to live.
That's great. Those are great descriptions of you, and I think you have a lot of tenacity and drive, so driven is really, really important characteristic of you. So they've kind of nailed it and hit it on the head. So Sarah, it was such a pleasure. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. Please take a minute to subscribe or follow so that you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. See you next week.
From IT skill enhancements to end user adoption training, Directions Training is your resource to help optimize the effectiveness of your technology investments. Over 500,000 students have taken advantage of our wide selection of technology and business training solutions covering the most popular applications today, such as Microsoft 365, Azure, Windows 10, and more. As a podcast listener, we invite you to take advantage of an exclusive offer. Receive 30 days of free access to our Microsoft official curriculum on-demand courses for IT professionals or end users. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com/podcast to claim this offer today. Hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time. Success is a journey. Ask for directions.